what's left to add to this class?
I mean, I guess there's still questions on where do some of those players go. We've talked about Cadeau. I think he'll stay in the 24 class, but when you look at his age, being close to 20, if it is 2024 when he does step on, and then Jackson was something that we brought up when we interviewed him back in July, and it wasn't the age; it was more he's dominated the U17 AAU level, and he's played on the U17 USA level. So what was really left for him next summer? So it'll be interesting just to monitor those situations. But I still think Jaron Stevenson is really the main question mark because he does bring that say four stretch four ability, which could complement James Brown and Drake Powell and the other guys. And it was Hubert's very first scholarship offer in that class. So last time we set a true score as well as potential Jaron Stevenson, and now we're still at that Jaron Stevenson or maybe somebody that can fit into that role. And once again, it's a long spring and summer, and other players can come out of nowhere or develop that aren't on the radar, and who knows where the roster's looking. So I think there could always be 1 to 2 different additions, but I'll go with the stretch four. And once again, the true scorers, you can never have enough of those.
Sherrell, does this class filling up kind of in an accelerated timeline? Does that change anything with Jaron Stevenson?
I don't think so. I think maybe it potentially emboldens them to stay the course because now UNC's cards are kind of on the deck, so to speak. They know what UNC has, they know what UNC doesn't have, and they can proceed, how they wish. He's been pretty consistent. His family's been pretty consistent that they're going to wait until after this AAU season ends to potentially make a decision. I do think you'll see an official visit set up with him for UNC sometime during basketball season. That was their goal for the family, was to wait until basketball season. So I think you'll see that. And, again, it's the common refrain now, if UNC can get you on campus, who knows, what might happen. And I think also the class is going to be impacted because, as we said, when guys say they're not going to reclass early, I always take that with a grain of salt just because things can change. Gigi Jackson at this point last year said that he wasn't going to reclass, and we know that he ended up doing that. So things can change quickly, and there's a chance you could see Jackson in 2023 or Cadeau in 2023. Who knows? But I think that's the flexibility UNC kind of has, that either of these guys can be in either class. And one thing that Hubert Davis has talked to Ian Jackson about is kind of filling that Caleb Love role is just like a pure scorer in the lineup. And depending on what Caleb does, that role could be open, beginning in 2023. So those are just things to think about. Don't know what those decisions will be, but I do know they're in play. So again, not to go back to everything we've said, but a really highly rated recruit, unexpected, and UNC beating Kentucky for a top 5 one and done. It's just something that doesn't happen. So I think we all have to kind of reset how we think about things and how they recruit. I'll be honest, when they started recruiting, it was kind of like, why? Because he's the type of player who typically just does not sniff UNC. But I think we're still looking at things maybe through a Roy Williams lens, and we have to stop doing that. So the other thing was that the New York area continues to be fertile ground for UNC.
Shut it down.
I think we put in the story that between Danny Green and Cole Anthony, the only 2 players from that region were Desmond Hubert and Dexter Strickland. And now, since Cole Anthony, they've had RJ Davis, they signed Wilcher, they've got a commitment from Cadeau, and now they have a commitment from Jackson. And so you have to expect they'll continue to mine that area for talent.
Yeah, I made the joke a couple of weeks ago about Hubert Davis just kind of getting an apartment right down next to the Rucker and hanging out just to make sure he's picking up anybody that's dribbling a basketball in that area. We're not too far off now because it's starting to get a little ridiculous with what the staff is pulling off. And it's a heck of a position for this group to be in, knowing, like you said earlier, Sherrell, that this far ahead, and to your point, Sean, that the class is really well rounded from a skill perspective and what these guys bring to the table.